when the addiction becomes chronic, it goes to the cellular level.
Right.
And when to the cellular level, to cleanse that one, we have a trillion of cells.
Okay.
If the trillion of cells get information to addictive information to clean them, world has only population 7 billion. And we are holding in our cellular memory trillion. And each of them to be eliminated the thing to their behavior or action, and that takes some time.
Dr. Doja Purkit is an Ayurvedic practitioner. He's a consultant with the Hale Clinic. He's been doing this for 25 years. Which practitioner do I know who can deal with addictions? And Dr. Doja came to my mind immediately. He's helped a number of people with addictions, with lifetime habits. How do you develop an addiction?
We developed an addiction. It comes from a habit. We always love instant comfort, pleasure, joy, and happiness. Whenever you're looking for instant happiness, instant joy, instant pleasure, then you become addicted to your action. Either it is the sugar addiction, either alcohol, either shopping, either internet, either running, jogging, and work, all comes because you are looking for a pleasure and comfort, joy, and happiness. That's why addiction develops. A lot of addiction is come from our childhood memories and the traumas, and that's what it started to develop. That's why scientifically is saying the addiction come from genetical point of view, but it's not from the genes because it's the earliest stage of development. That's why science think it is come from the genes, but it's not come from the genes. It is your habit, which you develop from the childhood, which you absorb from your surrounding environment, from the father, mother, family member, friend, schools, and you absorb all those, the negative habit, and that is lead to addiction.
So at what point can you say that it becomes an addiction?
Addiction is the, you always say, if you get addicted, if you do it repeatedly action, and which you are unable to control your action, then you become, no, you are addicted. Okay. And it is a problem, so we call it is not order in your mind. How do you know your mind is order or not? There's an Indian master has developed a technique. If you do the little finger and put other 3 fingers in a straight line, and if it's a normal right hand side, that's when your left brain in a normal condition. Then if you do it on the left hand side, test it that one. Then if it's the left hand side, all 3 fingers in a straight and touching the little finger, that's when your right brain is normal. In addictive,
so you're saying take the little finger and the thumb,
yes,
hold them together.
Hold them together.
And hold the other 3 fingers
other
straight.
3 fingers like a pointed, like a gun, like a straight. All
okay.
Straight.
Okay.
And people who are addicted, they go either way.
Wow. Okay. Oh, that's good to know. Okay.
It can affect the left brain and the right brain, but mostly addictive behavior, it always comes from the right brain.
And tell me something, Dr. Doja, how do you break an addiction? Like, you know, I mean, addictions come in many forms. It doesn't have to be substance or drugs or alcohol. I mean, it could be, of course, but it could be excess sugar. It could be biting your nails. It could be excess shopping, right? So how do you break all these different habits?
First, listening your craving, what you crave for. What is the mind is doing the repeated action. First, you understand your craving. The moment you understand the craving, then you start to eliminate them. Like a sugar craving. Why the sugar craving comes? Because your body is too acidic. That's why you need the more sugar and more instant energy. That's the sugar craving come. That's what you have to do, make the alkaline diet and then make some sort of happiness in your life. And that will help your sugar craving. And how to create the happiness? Happiness always come from the right brain. Either you can do some singing or chanting to help them to substitute the kind of habit. It changes with different habit. And different habit means you can do some singing or you can do some dancing. To that habit, give you some sort of sense of pleasure that break down the habit of sugars.
So you're saying there's 2 things in an addiction. One is that the body is craving it. So the body could be acidic.
Yes.
And the other is creativity helps overcome an addiction.
Yes, creativity, which is called the inner peace.
Okay.
Because we have a mind, we have a body, we have a spirit, which is called as known as a soul. When they are in order, whatever the mind is thinking, the body has a power to act on it. whatever the soul is there to get a bliss, get a happiness. And those three things need to be ordered. And when those three things in order, automatically you will enjoy your own peace and happiness.
Okay. So, Dr. Doja, so I know you have a number of tools, really interesting tools that
Yes.
have helped people in the past. Can you
Yes.
give us some quick ones?
When you are addicted, the first thing you should do is that one, you check which nostril you are breathing. If you're breathing from the right nostril and if you're breathing from the left nostril.
Okay.
The nostril you are breathing more repeatedly, that's when you are sending the oxygen, feeding the mind to think repeatedly. You close that nostril, the which is open, and breathe from the nostril, which is breathing slowly. Then you breathe 20 times.
So you're saying breathe in and out from the nostril, which is less open.
Less open.
And there's always one nostril that's less open.
It is, that's a natural law of any addictive behavior. And that is one of the way you can rectify that one. Then after that, immediately, what's the mind need? Minds need the basic necessity of the human mind. Human mind doesn't need the food, doesn't need the exercises. Mind need oxygen.
Yes, yes.
And oxygen is the basic ingredient of the mind. And how do oxygenation of the thing? Then the Indian system has developed a technique they call alternate nose breathing. Breathing in from the nose and breathe out from the nose. And that will help you to make the brain to in order. Left
so you're saying breathe in from one nostril and out from the other nostril.
Yes.
And then you breathe out from the nostril you breathe in from the nostril you breathe out from.
Is it advisable to breathe from the left, breathe out from the right, breathe in from the right, out from the left? Exactly the way the military they do it, left, right, left, right, left, right. Give the military is the consciousness. You have to remain within the order. That's why they do the left, right. Instead of the physical level of doing left, right, you are doing the mind left, right, left, right. That create a consciousness and order in the mind.
And for how long should one do this if you're trying to overcome something?
And overcome things, it has to be done 3 times a day.
Okay.
And then if you are very addictive, you can do even 6 times a day. Every hour you can do it. But 20 times you have to do it. Each time you do it 20 times. I think that within 20 times, you should get some peace. Again, if the wave comes to your mind again, I'm addicted again. Or I have to go to the shopping, or I have to smoking. I have to go for alcohol. Okay, first try to do that on 1 or 2 minutes. If you're not sorting out, then there's other tools are there. And that is the other tools you can apply. Later stage, we're going to talk about it when I'll give you the complete view of the addiction tools. That is the time I'll tell you more tools you can action plan, like a 7 or 8 action plan. I'll give it to the individual.
Fabulous, fabulous. Yes.
And it will help them overall to overcoming the addiction.
Okay. And Dr. Doja, before we get on to that, what are the scientific reasons behind an addiction?
Scientific reason of the behind addiction is that one. First, I tell you scientifically they think the addiction come from genetical things. But because it's the earliest stage of the habit developed, earliest stage of the emotional trauma developed, that's why you become addicted or you're habitual to your action, a repeated action. When the habit comes in, addiction comes in, it first appears or on your frontal lobe of the brain.
Okay.
And when it appears on the frontal lobe of the brain, then you are looking for the action, how I'm going to get the more happiness, how I'm going to be more the uplifted energy, how I'm going to get more joy and peace and pleasure. Then they send it to your conscious brain. And conscious brain, which is the top of the crown of the head, they produce the dopamine and endorphin. And when dopamine and endorphin is increases, repeatedly thinking, and then eventually body has started to producing unnatural dopamine or endorphin. That is give you that is a scientific basically point of view. It gives you instant dopamine and endorphin that helps you the mind and body to deal with your stress, that gives you the comfort, pleasure, joy and happiness.
Okay.
But it's artificial.
When you worked with people to try and overcome their addictions or their habits, how long does it normally take you and them, working with you to get rid of it?
Basically, beginning I said the meaning of addiction, meaning of habit is basically abnormal order in the mind. And that within 6 weeks, you can create the order on your mind.
Okay.
And once we have an order, that you have abilities to more control your addiction and habit. Then if you are a chronic addiction become like you are continuous in an environment that put you, or you are continuously with a friend who are addictive. That's why addictive people always have a friend of addictive people. That's why
Oh,
you're
right.
a wavelength.
Okay.
And that is one of the reasons when I help to the people, first thing I say, okay, I'm going to help you. One thing you're going to lose in your life, your friend. And that's the reason is that one, because that environment give your addictive behavior to repeatedly again and again. The first one to create an order in the mind 6 weeks. Second one, which is basically 6 months, you're away from the 6 months, then we lose those 6 months, you lose a lot of friends. And then once you have a control by 6 months, it's done the job. But it was very addictive, like a kind of cocaine or drug or alcohol. That will be take you basically 7 years to get
Oh
it.
my God. But Dr. Doja, then doesn't that put people off?
Addiction is kind of waves. It's like kind of snow and rain. It doesn't rain 365 days.
Right.
It doesn't snow 365 days. But whenever rains, whenever snow, whenever you have a feeling of addictive thing, that's why I teach them the tools, then they can deal with that one. If you have addictive, they have a snow. Okay, it's raining, then you take umbrella. Or the same way, you have addictive, then have a tools, then you can deal with that one.
Okay. So you're telling me that even if someone is deeply addicted to, say, a drug, so some drugs,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can help them get rid of it as long
Yeah.
as they stick to the
Yeah.
tools you've taught them for 7 years.
When the addiction become chronic, it goes to the cellular level.
Right.
And when
Right.
to the cellular level, to cleanse that one, we have a trillion of cells.
Okay.
If the trillion of cells get information to addictive information to clean them, world has only population 7 billion. And we are holding in our cellular memory trillion. And each of them to be eliminated the thing to their behavior or action. And that takes some time. Because of the emotions and memory is the biggest obstacles of modern life addiction. That's why I always advise regularly cleanse your memory.
Right.
And then clean, balance your emotion. Regularly we said you have to do it every 3 months, need to be cleanse your memory, cleanse the emotion. Like a computer hard drive you're continuously using, it's become flooded up with the information. After that, computer collapse, crash.
Right.
That's the way the virus has started to come in. Same thing, human mind as well. You need to clean, you need to balance your emotion, changing the memory, changing the cellular rejuvenation, detoxing the body. This is necessary for the system.
So you're saying if you're trying to get rid of an addiction, every 2 months you have to go through some sort of process of cleansing.
Yeah, you need to cleansing. Otherwise, you're feeding again. You're again feeding with this thing. Again, you go in the environment, friends are drinking, and you are there, and you stop drinking.
So tell me, Dr. Doja, what has been your best success story?
A success story, there's a client who was taking possibly from the drugs from age of 16.
Oh my God.
And he has taken from all sort of drug, you can imagine it, including the biting the glass. Then we sit down and then we have a 3 hours of consultation of each other. Then we recognize that one is basically lack of love from the family members.
Okay.
Then constantly searching for the loves, constantly searching for the pleasure and happiness. And happiness, artificial happiness, then you end up taking drugs.
Oh my God.
And one of the things I said it to me, look, you can't buy the happiness. You can buy the cocaine, you can buy the drugs, but that don't give you the happiness. It's kind of temporary happiness. You have to produce your own happiness. I give him to first thing, I said, look, if you want to create an order in the mind, mind is not your control. Mind is controlled by all the environmental issues. Your friend, family, country, society, all control the mind. But one thing you have a control, that is your liver and stomach and abdomen. That is known as a physical brain. First thing I do it, I said, look, I'm going to work to on your abdominal area to make your liver function, stomach. Then you have a command and you have an order in your mind. Mind always get an order from the liver and stomach. And the moment he got that order, he has the abilities to deal better. And then I teach you a technique how to create your own happiness. You can't buy the happiness. Either go to a shopping to make you happy,
yes,
to get your identity back, and that will make you feel better. Otherwise, go for hours and hours searching the knowledge in the internet. That doesn't make you the happier. Happiness always comes from the right brain. And you have to empty the right brain. And when the right brain is empty, that we call you creating ignorance in your mind. And that give you the peace and happiness. And you always look for the bliss. I said, look, most way, according to the Western world, we said human has a 5 sense organ. According to Indian system, human has a 11 sense organ. And when you balance your senses, then you have abilities to balance your emotions, ability to balance, to create your own inner peace. And what brings the inner peace? Inner peace always brings from the blissful atmosphere. How you can create your bliss? You can only, one of the simple way to create your bliss is soak your feet around 6 o'clock in the evening up to ankle level, as much as you can tolerate your feet. And when you stay there for 10 minutes, then that is the one is produce the peace. Because that is the one, it will be help you to get rid of eliminate the dead cells. And when the dead cells is come out of your system, then your memory started to function. Memory always feed by our dead cells. That when you do the dead cells, clear it out, it's not only give you the bliss, it is always give you the inner peace and always help you to live longer. If you look at the history between the man and women live longer than the man. It's a natural thing. And one of the reasons is the women live longer because they, before going to bed, they always soak their feet and wash their feet. Or the farmers, when they go to bed, they always wash their feet. But people who work on the offices, they don't wash the feet in the man. They just go to the wash the hand, wash the face and go to bed. That's a blissful condition. If you want to have it, then I teach him to regularly soak the feet. And that is started to enjoying his own bliss. And then also I teach him how to create the inner peace and happiness. Each time, whenever he had a drug addiction or drug thing, he tried to look for a drug, then he do it for like 5 minutes and disappear the waves of taking a drugs. And it's simple, it's very powerful. It's not only I'm telling you will get the benefit 2 days later, 3 days later, 6 months later. No, you do it, you'll get the benefit then and then.
Why don't you give us any advice that you have?
Addiction is the mental abnormality. Mental is not in order. And how to create an order? Basic ingredient of the mind is need. The first job of the human brain. Where you addicted, where you have to go to sleep, where you have to digest the food. Main job of the mind is the breathing. First learn how to breathe. And simple breathing technique is that one. I always say the alternate nose breathing. And second breathing is that one. 2 count breathe in and 3 count breathe out. And you do this technique for 5 minutes, and that will help you to create order in your mind. And second technique is that one, to create your own peace. Where the human emotions exist in the brain, where the human happiness comes, you can look for happiness for anywhere in the world. Because happiness exists within yourself and it exists on the right brain. And empty the right brain. Indian master has developed 5,000 years ago to create your own happiness is known as a Brahmi Pranayama or B sound breathing. Close your ear, close the eyes, take a breath in, concentrate on your right brain for a second, and then breathe out with the humming noise as long as you can comfortably breathe out.
Lovely.
This is the 7 times minimum. Then you can do it up to 3 to 5 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day when the addiction comes. And then you do each time you feel happier. Addiction is like a repeated thought and action. What feed the thought and action? Always the thought and action always feed by the carbon molecules in our body. And you have to learn to eliminate the carbon molecules to breathe out in a 10 direction. First, put the hands together, clasp the hand together up to abdominal level, and then breathe out only. First, start with the 10 times, then you can increase up to 20 times from right to left.
So you're saying put your hands together and move them from the right side to the left side.
No, first right hand side to abdomen.
Okay, towards the abdomen.
Then other side first, left hand side.
Okay.
And then up and down.
Okay, so up and down, yes.
But the second one is then from the right to left in the back.
So that you move, clasp your hands at the back, right to left.
Back.
Yes, yes.
Then the side to side, then up and down.
Okay.
And then clockwise of the head.
And then you clasp your hands and move them clockwise around the head. Okay.
And then anti-clockwise.
Okay, anti-clockwise, yes.
And then up and down.
And all the while you're breathing out.
All the breathing out.
Yeah, okay.
And in between that, you'll breathe in. And then in the front.
Okay. And then forward, outwards, yes.
And outward. And that will be immediately, it will give you the emptiness on the mind. And then you will feel, okay, I'm receiving the happiness. Because you just empty the brain. And that's one of the reason we call, you are emptying the mind. There's no carbon molecules in the system. And that will be help you to deal with your day-to-day crisis. Either you're a drug addiction, either smoking addiction, any kind of addiction. That will be help you immediately. Yes. And then also the certain level of the rejuvenating the food is required in the body, food supplement. Because bodies need to be detoxify and liver detoxification. There's one of the Indian tablet is known as a Suptin tablet.
Okay.
And then also there is a brain food which is known as a Brahmi and Sangspuspi. And then cells need to rejuvenate. There is a things called the Chavanpras. It is a 5,000 years old formula.
Yes.
Which people are taking to rejuvenate their cells. And that you can take it for 2-3 months, every 2-3 months, every 2-3 months. When you feel you are not fresh inside, then take a Chavanpras. Then make you feel fresh. And then if you feel you're very sad and depressed, and then that means your soul need to revive. And what souls need? We know the feeding for the mind is oxygen. Feeding for the body is the food. What is the feeding for the soul? Feeding for the soul is the perfume. Then use rose perfume. And that is for feeding for the soul. That's why if you go to meet Indian master, first thing they'll give you, especially the Sufi master, first thing they'll give you the perfume. And best perfume is that one, to rose. That feed your soul. And where to put it in? Put it in between the eyebrows, which is known as a third eye. Just put the 1 or 2 drops. And in the wrist point, 2 fingers in the middle. Okay. And that will give you immediately uplifted your soul.
Rose essential oil or rose perfume.
Yeah, the rose essential.
And put it between the eyebrows and in the wrist pulse points.
At the pulse point. That will help your soul to get rid of the sadness. What happened when they wake up, people, when the addictive people, when the addiction disappears, then it comes action and reaction. Okay. And that is the time the body feels very, very low and sad and depressed. And this is the best remedy is that one. Put the comfortable perfume, which is the rose. And if your wavelength is very, very low, then use the sandalwood, which is uplifted your another level of consciousness. Okay. Yes. And if your soul is totally traumatized, then you use the another perfume known as oud.
Oud. Oh, right.
Yeah, the oud.
Which the Arabs used, right?
Oh, it's Arabs.
Very, very strong smell.
Yes. And if you use the same way, or you can just smell it, that will be uplifted to spirit then and then. Not like you are doing today, then tomorrow you're going to uplift it. No, then and then.
Addicted to social media.
Yes.
That's something which is, you're very, very common today. So how would you advise they handle that?
I think they handle that one is one of the best way the Indian master has developed. They call the fasting. And the fasting from the social media, 24 hours. And if you're very addicted, do it. It's like 3 times every month. Or otherwise do it once a week. And after dinner, they do it for only 1 hour. After that, completely switched off. Okay. Sleeping time is not advisable. But that is the time body refers, mind refers. Yes. It's like if you're sleeping time at 10 o'clock, but if you use the social media after 12 o'clock, after midnight, after 11 o'clock, if you use the social media, is always damaging to the health. Okay. Because that's why it's not advisable after 11 o'clock. Listen some music, listen some other things, read some book, but not the social media on that time after 11 o'clock. Because 11 and 2, that is the time it processes our thought, it processes, rejuvenate our cells. That is the time if you put anything, is damaging to the health. And then the radiation comes in from it, because that's the radiation that is actually damage more than using it, because those radiation is a problem. And those sort of information, if you have the abilities to carry 10 kilo, if someone give you 100 kilo, eventually you collapse. You can do it 1 night, 2 night, 3 night. After 4th night, then you started to boredom. After boredom comes in, then you start using more. The best way to do the fasting, just do the 24 hours, no social media once a week.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening to this chat. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to this page. Please subscribe to our podcast on Apple and Spotify, Wellness Curated, and follow us on Instagram, Wellness Curated, the number 1. Thank you.